Alright guys, so today we're getting a look at a very interesting pair of true wireless earbuds. The pair that we're going to check out are the Final ZE8000, basically a flagship hi-fi pair of true wireless earbuds. Now, if you're not familiar with the company Final, they are more known for making audiophile grade equipment. They have some pretty interesting designs when it comes to their headphones and their IEMs, and that definitely carries over to the ZE8000s. It has a really unique look to them. I think it stands out amongst a lot of the other designs. It has some interesting features which we're going to talk about, but let's go ahead and jump right into the price, because I think this is initially going to scare off a lot of people. These do come in at $349, so they're one of the more expensive, if not one of the most expensive pairs of true wireless earbuds in the market. But again, it kind of ties into what they do, and I guess you kind of have to factor in they're not this huge company like Sony or Bose or Apple where they're just like churning out earbuds on a manufacturing belt. So they do have a lot more cost involved with their earbuds. And I do want to start with the fact that these are the ZE8000 models, and I looked at a lot of their other products, and anything that ended with the 8000 seemed to be their flagship in that category. They had the D8000, which was a very interesting looking pair of over-the-ear headphones. They also had, I believe, the A8000s, which was a pair of IEMs, but again, their flagship model. And they do actually have some other true wireless earbuds, but the ZE8000 is their flagship model. So this is going to be the pair that you would be interested in if you want the best of what Final has to offer. And the marketing behind this pair says that these have 8K sound, which I haven't seen in another pair of earbuds, and it's also labeling these as having no compromise ANC. I initially thought that would mean that they're not just going to compromise, they're going to just block out everything possible, and I'll explain why that isn't actually the case, and I understand what they mean now. Now let's start with the 8K and what that actually means. Now this is the DSP, or the digital signal processor, that these have built into these, and the way that it's explained is kind of like a photo. Getting it at 8K is giving you 16 times more information. Now if you look at that when it comes to audio, where you're used to hearing everything in a certain way, they're trying to give you more information when it comes to your sound, give you more details, and give you more out of that sound. So really, it's emphasizing trying to give you more than what you're used to hearing. Now, as far as technology-wise, it does have Bluetooth 5.2. It's using a Qualcomm 5141 chip. And when it comes to Bluetooth codecs, this pair has aptX adaptive, which I've said previously, that's one of my favorite Bluetooth codecs because it's just kind of thinking on its own and giving you the best quality depending on the source, depending on where you're at and the signal and everything that you have. But it also has regular aptX, and if you actually do have a device that will support it, this pair also has Snapdragon sound. So you can get lossless audio if you have one of the few devices that actually support this right now. Now, I do think in 2023, there's going to be a lot of devices that come out with this, but at the time, there's only really a few that offer this. Now, it does use a Class AB amp instead of the usual Class D that you see in normal true wireless earbuds. So it's using a higher grade amp, which is going to draw a lot more power. Kind of the same thing with the 8K DSP that's built in. Everything that they're shoving into these earbuds is going to pull a lot more power than normal true wireless earbuds, and ultimately this is going to affect your battery life, and on top of the fact that it has active noise canceling, because the battery life on these are not that impressive at all. In fact, on a full charge, and this is really without using the noise canceling and the 8K and all of that, you're only going to get 5 hours on a single charge and around 15 hours using the case. And then the more that you use features like noise canceling and the 8K, it's all going to continue to drop from there. So don't expect like this insane amount of battery life like we've seen in other true wireless earbuds. So if you are somebody that's looking for a pair to just use all day while you're at work, this pair will not check that box. And it does have fast charging, but it's not really anything special here either, because on a 5-minute charge, you're only going to get 45 minutes of use. And I don't even know if that was worth noting on the packaging or the marketing, because again, we've seen where like a 10-minute charge can give you 3 hours, but at least there is something there. If you do pick up your earbuds and they're dead, you can get 45 minutes on a quick 5-minute charge. Now, one of the nice features is it does work with Final's Connect app. Now, this app will allow you to keep these earbuds updated. This is also what you would need to switch these into that 8K sound. It does give you the ability to adjust the EQ settings, and it's really nice how well this pair responds to EQing. I mean, you can go in and switch around different frequencies and really kind of dial it in to get the sound that you want. And then it also has what they call a volume step optimizer. Now, I didn't find myself using this feature very often, but I definitely use the 8K sound, and it really was nice to switch around a lot of the EQ settings. But moving over to talking about the noise canceling. Now, the noise canceling and the transparency mode both have 2 different modes for each one. On the noise canceling, you just have regular noise canceling and a wind reduction mode. And the noise canceling on this pair is actually very good. It's just not in that same ballpark as Sony or Bose. In fact, I don't even think it's in a lot of the range of the pairs that I've seen around $200 or $150. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this pair for its noise canceling alone, but it is nice that it blocks out wind if you're going to use these outdoors. In the transparency mode, the 2 different modes that you have here is a background mode where it kind of puts your music in the background. And it makes you more aware of your surroundings. But there's also a voice through mode where it will focus in on somebody's voice, and it makes it really easy to carry on a conversation without actually taking your earbuds out. So I do like that there's multiple levels from the noise canceling and the transparency mode. And although the transparency mode is great, it's the noise canceling that's just good. It's not excellent, it's not amazing, but I found what they mean by the no compromise ANC is if you're listening to your music in just normal mode, or you switch these over into noise canceling mode, the no compromise is it doesn't compromise your audio. It's not destroying your audio. It's not adding that, extra level of bass, and it's not closing in your sound as much as other noise canceling earbuds. So I was very impressed with how well the noise canceling didn't affect my audio, but was still pretty effective for the most part when it comes to engine noises and AC units and things like that. It was just that when people are talking, all of that still came through just the same as it would on any other pair of true wireless earbuds. Now, as far as using these outdoors, it does come with an IPX4 rating. Now, this is about the norm on any pair that has active noise canceling. And like I've said in the past, this just means it's fine if they get splashed, or if they start to get rained on, or if you're somebody that sweats heavily, but definitely do not submerge these into water. Now, as far as what all they've included inside the box, you actually get 5 sets of dual layered ear tips. Now, these are silicone ear tips, but they are a little bit thicker, I think, because of that dual layer. It also comes with what they call an acoustic tool, and essentially all this is a tool to shove in these dust filters that they've included, so that if they get wax or sand or things over time, you can switch out these dust filters, and that acoustic tool just allows you to just push those dust filters back into place. And then as far as the charging cable, it does come with a USB-C cable. And this area was also a little disappointing because in this price range, just most people are going to expect a Qi wireless charging. And this pair does not offer wireless charging. So you are going to have to use that USB-C cable. Now, if you are going to be using this pair for taking phone calls, this is an area I definitely think these excel in. And that really kind of goes back to the design of these. Because of that long stem, they put mics at both the top and the bottom of those stems. And they just do a really good job of focusing in on my voice. But it also did a really good job of blocking out a lot of my surroundings. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here is the mic test using the ZE8000s. And again, I was very impressed in this area because I feel like it's picking up a lot more clarity than other microphones. But this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here's the mic test for the crowd noise being played that you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the sound. And I can tell you this is obviously the main focal point on these earbuds, as it should be. Any audio company should definitely focus on the audio first and then just add in features along the way. And you can tell that that's what Final did here. The audio on these are fantastic. Now that's if you're just listening to them regular or listening to them in their 8K mode. It is one of the most detailed pair of earbuds. It's also one of the most natural sounding and almost kind of like an analog pair of IEMs. It's not trying to overcompress your audio. You don't get that really digital sound. But the thing that surprised me the most, because when I went into this, I was expecting this pair to kind of be focused mainly on the mids and the treble and bass, although I kind of expected it to have a pretty good punch. I thought it would be really tight and not overemphasized at all. And I'm actually wrong in that area. The bass had a little bit of extra boost to it. It had a little bit more color to it. They didn't leave it flat. They didn't try to go, we're an audiophile company, so we're going to make this just sound as reference as possible. Out of the box, it had some boost in the bass. Same thing with the treble. The treble had a nice bright shine to it. And so it is a very dynamic sound, which was very interesting for a pair from a company like this. And the mids on this pair, I was very impressed with. As far as vocals go, this is one of those that you can go from each kind of genre. You can go from male to female vocals, and you're going to hear a lot of details and just a lot of characteristics in those vocals that you're not normally getting with earbuds, because they're usually kind of compressed or kind of muddied up with bass that's pushed up a little too high. And so really out of the box, you don't have to EQ these at all. But the one area that I think just immediately separates these from all of the other earbuds is the sound stage and the sound imaging. This is a very wide open sounding earbud. Even with the noise canceling on, I would say that this is probably the widest sounding pair with the noise canceling on, which I was impressed with. So if you like an open sound, if you don't like things to sound closed in, and you like a lot of depth in your audio, it did a really good job of being able to not only tell where things were coming from, like left to right, you could also kind of get a feel for things top to bottom as well. So it didn't have that like reverb effect. It wasn't like an artificial way of trying to give you that. If I'm going to break it down as far as against genres and categories and things like I've done in the past, when it comes to pop and hip hop and things like that, I would say this pair definitely gets a 9 in this category. And I think that's mainly because not only was I surprised with the low end that these had, but the detail that it's bringing out, it's kind of special compared to other true wireless earbuds. And then genres like metal and rock, this pair excels at that as well. Again, not only because the mids and the treble is fantastic, but having that added boosted bass is just letting you feel the drums a little bit more. So I would give these a 9 in that category as well. And it's no surprise with easy listening or country or anything that's more vocal driven, this pair gets a 9 when it comes to that. And then when it comes to media, so if you're going to use these for gaming or movies or videos, I would give these an 8 in this category because, I did notice a little bit more lag in gaming than I have with other pairs. But if you are going to use these with a device that has that Snapdragon audio, that would then bump it up to a 9 because it eliminates a little bit more of that lag. So my overall opinion on these, I would give these a 9. The only thing I would draw back from, and the only thing that I think affects the overall score, would be the features. If you're somebody that wants the best noise canceling, that's not this pair. If you're looking for incredible battery life, that's not this pair either. If you need Qi wireless charging or impressive fast charging, I don't think this pair delivers in that category either. I still stick to my overall score being a 9, and that's mainly because I focus on audio quality. So I definitely see the value here if you're looking just specifically for sound alone. But if you are looking for features, there's a ton of other pairs out there that are going to be able to give you more in this price range, much lower than this price range. So you can save some money and get better features with a lot of other pairs. But guys, that's my video on the final ZE8000 true wireless earbuds. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.